shifting a little bit more west, which brings it a little bit closer to us.
Yep. The rapid intensification, going back to that on Friday night, the Hurricane Center was flying through. They had radar imagery on the back of one of the hurricane hunters as they were flying through. And they mentioned in their discussion at the 11 p.m. update that there were hot towers that were being observed. And my knowledge of hurricanes and tropics, it's okay. It's decent. I'm not at the level of Hurricane Center, certainly. But looking, I knew hot towers were related to near the eye. I was looking at that. So hot towers are basically really tall thunderstorms. So think of a thunderstorm that we have on a day-to-day basis where it goes all the way to the top of the troposphere. That's what you have circling around the eye, and that shows you that you have a strengthening storm. It was really cool to see the imagery from that, and also kind of scary too, because we were sitting at a Cat 1 at that time.
Yeah.
And then look what happened by the time you woke up and came into work. It was a huge change.
It was a span of hours.
Actually, I'm sorry, Cat 2 at 11 p.m. It did strengthen from 1 to 2.
Yeah,
so
it was a Cat 4 when I was on air Saturday morning, and then even in just the 2 hours of the newscast, I think the sustained wind speed increased by 15 miles per hour. And I was like, oh, this thing has the potential to become a Cat 5.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it did. So, yeah, that was very interesting. And just for the record, rapid intensification is when a hurricane will be increasing its sustained wind speed by 35 miles per hour or more. So, Erin definitely
in a certain
exceeded
amount
that.
of time, of course.
Yeah, within a 24-hour period.
24 hour.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a fast increase. I'm just pulling up to see if there's any questions that are coming in on Facebook. But so this storm, we can see it here, 140 mile an hour winds. That's the latest observation. The cone keeping it, moving it to the north, staying a category 4 to 3. By Wednesday evening, still a 3, and then on Thursday, it's a category 2.
One thing that's very interesting to note, it's last week when you and I, Jeff, were tracking this thing, that cone was much closer to Bermuda. Now it's kind of taking a much more westward track, and it's also doing more of that like extreme bend.
Yes,
you can kind of note. So
thankfully for the bend, because it's west.
Yeah, it's been trending west. Hatteras, parts of the Outer Banks. This is going to be a storm that it's going to stay offshore, but it's still going to give them potentially some impacts.
Because the size of the storm got so big.
It's going to be so huge.
Didn't they say tripled in size?
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's huge. So that's the track of the storm. You can see, I would say from Friday, it looks like it's on if we were to draw that on there, it's on the far western side of it from what they thought on Friday, and now look where it is. If it continues to shift more to the west, it only can get so much farther west because there is a cold front that is coming in. So that's really a big thing. That's going to help us out. But that's what we're seeing in terms of the track. Now, the tides are something that are interesting as well. And Christy, looks like our Thursday high tide is really going to be starting to be the highest one.
Yeah, that's what it looks like right now. We don't have the forecast that kind of goes beyond that just yet. That'll come in with more updates. And then if we do continue to see the hurricane tracking even a little bit further west, then we could see these numbers go up just a little bit. So right now we're looking at having minor tidal flooding. The tidal flooding impacts look to be from Tuesday evening until Thursday. So we'll see those larger impacts Wednesday, 8 p.m. high tide, Thursday, 8 a.m. So we're looking at about 5 feet, so that's a couple feet of inundations. We're at the minor flood stage, but we could see some areas potentially go up to that moderate flood stage. So definitely tidal flooding will be a concern for us. We will be seeing those large breaking waves. We're talking about 10 to 13 feet with those. We are looking at seeing some ocean overwash. I know the Outer Banks, they already have their emergency alerts that are in place, calling for evacuations. The ferry's not going to be running. They're expecting NC-12 to be closed for a while.
That's not surprising either.
Right.
With a storm of this magnitude sitting right off the coast. I mean, NC-12 can overwash on just a consistent northeast wind over maybe a week period sometimes. Now factor in a major hurricane off the coast, and it's not a surprise as to why.
Question from Bonnie, and I haven't had a chance to look at the short-term forecast, the high-res models yet. Christy, let's see if you know this one. How much rain are we thinking for our area, like Chesapeake, Virginia Beach? Are we seeing a lot of rain from this system?
So we're not really seeing rain from Erin. However, you were talking about we have that cold front that's moving through, so that's going to be stalling over us for a couple of days until Erin makes its way through. Then it'll be able to pass through. So the rain that we'll be seeing is going to be more around that front. Now, we are going to be having, for the next few days, isolated to scattered showers here and there. And within that, we can see some of those heavy downpours again that could dump 2 to 3 inches of rain in certain local areas. So with that, we could be seeing some localized flash flooding.
The worst rain is going to happen way before Erin gets here.
Right.
Erin's going to bring in the wind, and then it'll bring in some drier air, hopefully after it as it moves out, and we should be looking pretty good. So this storm, this tropical system is not going to be tropical with the rainfall.
Right.
It's going to be tropical because of the wind for us.
Wind gusts, yeah.
Yep, the wind.
Specifically the gusts.
Yeah.
Not so much the sustained wind. Maybe Outer Banks,
Outer
Hatteras.
Banks, yeah. We'll get it.
But for, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, we'll get a gust here and there, maybe 30 miles an hour.
It should be okay.
It shouldn't be too bad. Wave heights, though, that's going to be big. Also, for the surfers, this swell actually, I don't know if you were looking at it, when shifted back a little bit, it looks like this weekend is actually the time to target.
Oh, that's always the case. That's always the case for me. When my schedule doesn't work, I can't do it.
So you and I are stoked on that.
Yes. Definitely excited on that. We'll show you the wave heights in a second. Another question from Joey. He's saying that he's in Moyoc. Is there anything that we need to worry about this week with the hurricane? How bad should we be for areas into Moyoc? I don't see Moyoc being any different of a concern than any other inland spots.
Yeah.
I think the inland spots are fine with the storm. Gusty winds, but
no every now and then.
No gustier than what? 3 weeks ago we had that weekend where it was really windy.
Yeah,
same deal.
Same deal.
Yeah.
Same deal for inland spots.
Unless you're again Outer Banks, Hatteras, you're not going to be seeing wind gusts that are really going to blow you away. No pun intended.
Right. I mean that's the problem there with the NC-12.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the big issue there because it'll be impassable. You can't get through. So we saw the tides there. They're going to be up. The one thing I was talking to someone online over the weekend, it's very hard to predict the tides. We can do a 7-day forecast looking at temperatures or chances for rain. After day 5, it gets more tricky, and there can be some more inaccuracies. But when it comes to tidal flooding, it's really hard to forecast that out more than 3-4 days out.
Yeah, I mean, tides depend on so much. It depends on what is your base water level at. Then you have all of this other stuff with the hurricane pushing the winds. So the winds affect it. The moon cycle affects it.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of things that go into those tides.
A lot of things going into it, Brian. I think we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back with more. We're going to be talking about some other effects that we haven't talked about yet with Erin in just a bit.
Yep, stand by. All right, we're back beyond the forecast talking about Hurricane Erin, which rapidly intensified this weekend. Before anybody knew it, it was a Cat 5.
Yes. Fast.
Really, happened that fast.
This is going to be a windstorm for us. That's the concern. Outer Banks, big concern as there's been evacuations that have been listed. We have the details on that from Dare County on our website, wavy.com, so go check that out. I don't know the specifics off my head. I don't want to say something wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they said it on the newscast, and mainly they were doing the evacuations, not necessarily from direct impacts of the storm that they're expecting for causing damage, but because it's going to cause that ocean overwash over NC-12, if anybody has an emergency vehicles might not be able to get to those places.
Right.
So they want to try to mitigate anything like that happening. So that's where a lot of the emergency evacuations are coming from. Of course, they were concerned with some of those houses that are right on the water. They might
might lose one of those or a couple of
I feel
those.
like that's an annual thing at this point, though. We're
Right.
always kind of watching. We're like, all right, is this one going to go next? What's the deal here? It really, this swell is going to be massive down there. So
Yes.
you never know.
Yeah, it's there's 2 houses that I saw a picture of that are basically in the water already.
In the water, yeah.
Do you want to take the control of this wind?
Sure, I can take the control.
Yeah, because I'm looking at some questions that are coming in.
Yeah, I can take. I believe I can. Okay, so
There we go.
Again, the biggest kind of impact here is, like we've been saying, is going to be the wind. Not so much the rain. The rain more so from this stalling front. That's going to be kind of just sitting over us until Erin kind of gets out of here. We'll take this thing Wednesday afternoon. 10 to 15 mile per hour gusts for us here in the south side, maybe the peninsulas. But
Not bad.
Hatteras, maybe gusting upwards of 20, 25. Again, it's not anything crazy yet until we maybe get overnight kind of into early Thursday. Hatteras starts to gust, maybe near 40 here and there, off towards Kill Devil Hills as well. But look at this. The south side only gusting to around 20 to 25 miles per hour in that time span. So that's, that's a typical day at some points of the year, especially this past spring where we had some windy stretches of days in March.
Yeah, March or a day after a cold front in January, you
Yeah.
get 25 mile an hour gusts out of the northwest. This is out of the northeast, but
here
similar.
Here's Thursday morning, 10 a.m. gusting to 40, maybe 45 Hatteras. I think pretty safe to say it's the Outer Banks, Kill Devil Hills, down south through Hatteras is going to see the worst of the wind. But even then, it's something that we can handle. It's 40 miles per hour, maybe 50 mile per hour gusts. With this direction, though, we are getting, again, large surf. We are potentially getting overwash.
Yep.
It's going to be that saltwater kind of threat for the Outer Banks. That's the big concern. And maybe, with that kind of northerly direction, maybe gusts upwards of 30 for the south side near the peninsulas. Yeah, maybe we could get some maybe a little nuisance stuff kind of going on, coming off the Chesapeake, some water getting funneled in that way. So it's not so much of a big deal with really the wind even. It's more so it pushing the water in the direction that's going to be pushing it. As we head into Thursday evening, overnight starts to wind down as the storm kind of pulls off to the north and east. And as we wake up on Friday, we'll be back to seeing gusts around 20 miles per hour. Still pretty much directly out of the north. So surfers, it's going to be really a matter of what that wind direction is and how strong it is, because this is still kind of side/onshore. Waves are still going to be big in this case too. So it's certainly not a beach day coming up for Friday. You're not swimming.
There could be a rare power outage, very spotty, not widespread.
If it's going to happen, it's going to be Thursday, maybe afternoon Thursday, when this thing is directly to our east. But by Friday,
it's gone.
Friday evening, it's out of here. It's a no.
Look at that Saturday, it's gone.
It's not hanging around for long, and pretty calm conditions. Winds switch back out of the south. Look at this Sunday morning, southwest.
That's a cold front coming in.
Yeah, there's cold front kind of coming in. But
Right.
I mean, switches back out of the south.
But let me just compare it for Ocean City, Onancock, Eastern Shore. That cold front brings in the same wind that you're going to get out of Erin. So we don't talk about impacts of a cold front 3 days out, 4 days out.
Right.
We're not concerned about that. We're concerned cold front is going to be the rain that'll bring. So
Yeah.
that's pretty good. And we're getting a lot of questions for like Hampton, places in Franklin. What are we looking at for spots? Franklin, I'm not concerned about at all.
No.
I don't think there's going to be any problems at Franklin. Hampton, you're going to have some stronger winds coming off of the Chesapeake Bay.
Off the Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah.
But it should be okay. I do not believe you're going to have 50 mile an hour wind gusts in Hampton from this storm. Don't think that. Could be getting close to 30, 35.
Yeah.
That's always possible. We've gotten that several times before, but I'm not concerned for your area into Hampton. And Ashley, for you in Franklin, you're looking just fine. And Jenny's also calling you out too, Brian, because she wants to see pictures of how big the surf is when we paddle out. So
It'll depend on the day, because I can tell you one thing. Thursday, I love surfing big waves. Thursday is going to be out of control. So you'll be catching me getting shots from the beach on that day.
Yeah, I'm not pedaling out in that stuff. Wave heights are going to be pretty big. Storm surge maps haven't come out yet. We do have an idea on the tidal flooding, though, Betty. She's asking about storm surge maps. For tidal flooding, again, we're looking at minor to maybe moderate tidal flooding. That could happen Wednesday and into Thursday. We'll let you know the specifics once we know more about Thursday. We're not quite there yet in terms of how far the models look out, so stay tuned on that.
Yeah, definitely. Here's the wave heights, speaking of which. I don't know. I don't trust the Virginia Beach one here. 1 foot, no chance on, on
you
Thursday.
You have to grid adjust the model. It thinks that the buoy is on land or something like that.
That would make sense.
It's weird.
It's definitely not. So don't listen to that Virginia Beach one. It is definitely going to be properly big on Thursday. The Hatteras Lighthouse, I could see it even being bigger than 13 feet.
Yeah,
I think.
could be.
I think we could be pushing on the buoys, the outer buoys, easily pushing 20 foot.
Yeah.
Long period, 20 foot is, again, the surf is going to be a big problem. Look at that buoy, 35 feet.
Yeah, that's like right at the center of the storm.
Right at the center?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Might even be bigger than that.
I think a lot of times these don't handle size well. I think it's going to be even bigger than that for the areas.
We're going to lose that buoy too.
Probably. It's very possible.
Yeah. What I mean by when I say that is that it's going to basically get disconnected from its anchor, and it's just going to be floating in the ocean, and then NOAA will have to go out and retrieve it. They've done this before because it sends a little GPS signal. Hey, I'm over here.
Come find
Help me. Get me out of here. There'll be a buoy retrieval that'll be done probably I wouldn't imagine it'll take too long. They'll want to get that one locked down.
Right.
Because that's an important one. That's right on the coastal shelf. That's an important one. But look at the winds that we'll see once again, and right in the center of the storm, 100 miles an hour?
Easily, yeah.
Yeah, that's screaming. So
yeah.
I don't think a buoy can handle that.
No, I don't think that it could. So that'll be interesting to see there. But yeah, I mean, we were talking about these winds that they are talking about 40 mile per hour. This is something that we would see with a coastal low moving through too. So the winds are not super crazy, but they will be causing the waves, and then that will cause that ocean overwash as our main concerns and some of that tidal flooding.
Nag's Head. Good question about Nag's Head. What are we looking at for there? I mean, Nag's Head, you're not too far away from the Oregon Inlet, so there will be large surf. In terms of ocean overwash, that doesn't typically happen into Nag's Head, so you should be fine there. It'll just be a really windy day, and there could be some minor damage to buildings that don't have newer shingles, for example, where it's really old, where the shingles are 40 years old, that kind of thing. The weak spots might have some issues, but it really shouldn't be terrible in Nag's Head.
There's a couple things. Northern Outer Banks, really strong dune systems. Their dunes
in
are
most
much
spots.
Yes, in a lot of spots. They're taller, they're wider, and the beaches aren't short. If you get down towards Hatteras, some of those dunes are just constantly battered, like along NC-12. Some of those dunes down towards Hatteras, really, you pretty much go from road to beach to water in pretty much like that. So I think it's areas down there that are really going to be mainly focused on is south of the Oregon Inlet, essentially. I think for the biggest threat of that overwash.
Got a question about Elizabeth City and flooding. I don't believe Elizabeth City is going to have any problems with tidal flooding from this. With
I don't
northerly
think
winds.
So either. No,
it should drain out the water, then push it up
in the Albemarle Sound.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for that'll be fine.
Yeah, you can see it here.
I mean, I know there's evacuations for Ocracoke, but they're going to have some soundside flooding that'll occur that day.
Yep.
It'll push in, it'll slosh in like a bathtub. If you push the water one way, then it sloshes back the other way. That's what's going to happen in this case. So Ocracoke could see flooding like we did with Dorian. It may not be that different from in this storm where that was 1 to 2 feet.
Right.
Above the ground. We're going to take more looks at Erin coming up after the break. We're also going to take a look at the chance for thunderstorms and heavy rainfall. We're going to do a combo platter coming up in just a little bit.
All right, we're back, and we're talking about Erin a little bit more, and then the local forecast rainfall to come with the cold front coming in.
Yeah, and then folks are asking, is there a chance that Erin could take a turn more to the left or more west or closer to us? Maybe wobbling a bit, but
maybe a little bit.
Probably not significantly because of cold front.
Right. We're not talking about a shift to like landfall by any means.
No.
So
Nope.
We're not
that
expecting
is some good news there at least.
Nope.
Yeah, and then after Erin, we'll keep an eye on this development.
What's it, Fernand?
Yeah, that would be the next name.
So.
So yeah, this one is off the coast of Africa, kind of following very similar, just a little bit further south than Erin's track has been, and it's got a 60% chance of formation in the next 5 days.
Yes, it is Fernand.
Yep.
Just confirmed that.
And looking at kind of just one of the long-range models here, the European model isn't loading correctly on our system, so we don't have that updated right now. So we'll only be able to look at the GFS for today. There is Erin, as predicted, staying off of our coast, but grazing by our area, bringing us some wind and some tidal flooding. Rain only for the Outer Banks primarily, not too much for the Hampton Road cities. We'll get some more rain tonight. We'll look at that here in a second. Look towards the Lesser Antilles and Puerto Rico. Here comes that next wave of energy. Not really looking too strong at this point. It's still just kind of a tropical type system, maybe depression.
It's still far out too.
Still far out.
Yeah.
That's into Sunday. So we're looking at this upcoming weekend and then going into next week. Who knows what's going to happen with it? We'll just stop it right there. That's the end of the model. That's early Tuesday morning. It could try to develop into something as it's south of Florida, but right now, that's just one to watch longer.
And we don't even know totally if it's going to be south of Florida.
And it may not even be a wave maker if it stays that far south, too.
Yeah,
so,
true.
That may not be the thing. But let's spend the last couple of minutes taking a look at Super Doppler 10. We have a couple of showers and storms that we have across your area. We'll start with the Eastern Shore. Don't want to forget about you on the Eastern Shore. We have scattered downpours that are moving from north to south very slowly. This is what we're going to see as we go into tonight. Just these areas of rainfall that are moving through the area. So some downpours, some showers. Across Williamsburg, you have a little bit of that rainfall into your area that extends into Surrey County. A few showers on the peninsula. Not too much for the south side right now. A little bit more rainfall into northeast North Carolina as we look near Elizabeth City.
That's a pretty decent cluster there.
Yeah, there's some lightning with that
lightning,
too.
Thunderstorm.
Heavy rain. This is what we're going to kind of see as we go into the rest of the night and for the Outer Banks. Right now looking all clear and quiet. Not much going on for the Outer Banks, even in terms of cloud cover. It's looking pretty clear too, without hardly any clouds. The big clouds are farther inland and they're really bubbling up.
Wow, you got 'em.
Look at that, it's even casting a shadow south of Elizabeth City. See that?
Oh, that is cool.
Look at that.
Cool.
Wow.
That's a really, really tall cloud top there.
Yeah, so let me pause it here so everyone can see it. That's the shadow created by the cloud. Look at that.
That's crazy.
That's cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to get that excited, but that's really neat. That's really neat. So that's what we're seeing. We want to wrap up on future track. We want to take a look at
I guess we do future track.
Yeah, I have the future radar here.
Yeah, we'll keep seeing some of that rain. And that's kind of we talked about how we have heavy downpours. You could see that on the radar. It's kind of what we're expecting with those heavy downpours. Some areas could see localized flash flooding out there later on today, as localized could be seeing up to 2-3 inches of rainfall within some of those heavy downpours. So that's kind of the main concern through later today. We'll continue to see some of these isolated to scattered showers and storms over the next few days.
Going back to the tidal flooding, we're going to update this as we go throughout the night for the next couple of days. We could see some minor to maybe moderate tidal flooding for the area. Questions about Ghent, questions about Hampton, questions about Virginia Beach. Minor tidal flooding isn't that bad. The normal spots we'll see it in Ghent and towards the Hague. Certainly we'll see that, but if we get to moderate, we're going to have to really watch that closely, and that is possible Thursday evening, just with how the storm is moving offshore and the new moon that's coming up this weekend as well. So there's a couple of things that could really swell up those tides. We're going to have to watch closely. So we're going to keep an update on that. We're going to keep an eye on Erin. You're going to be doing our 4 o'clock newscast today, Christy?
Yes, I am. So I'll have all those updates and more for you. One thing I will say about the tidal flooding, it's that mix between the freshwater, brackish water. So we always say turn around, don't drown, but it's really turn around, don't drown your car. Because that will get into your car and it will ruin it. So if you come across any of these areas, again, those typical areas that see flooding is what we're looking at for right now. But if you come across those areas, make sure that you're trying to find an alternate route, not crossing it.
Unless maybe, your significant other says you can't get a new car because this one's working fine. Maybe, I don't know, maybe just roll
Don't
through.
listen to
Hey,
Jeff.
something's
Don't listen
going.
to Jeff.
Don't listen to
I
Jeff.
don't know. Car just stopped working. I was driving down the street. It just stopped. Don't do that.
Nobody's buying that, Jeff. Nobody's buying that.
All right. I think we're pretty good here for today. I think we can wrap it up. We'll be back again tomorrow at 3 o'clock with more live updates. So thanks for watching Beyond the Forecast.